Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 6. Page 55. We begin working Step 6 full of hope we have developed in the first 5 steps. If we have been thorough, we have also developed some humility. In Step 6, humility means that we're able to see ourselves more clearly. We've seen the exact nature of our wrongs. We've seen how we've harmed ourselves and others by acting on our defects of character. We've seen the patterns of our behavior and we've come to understand how we are likely to act on the defects over and over. Now we have to become entirely ready to have our defects of character removed. Becoming entirely ready won't happen in an instant. It's a long process, often taking place over the course of a whole lifetime. Immediately following an inventory, we may feel very ready indeed to have our defects removed. If we've been around a while and are generally pretty well aware of what our defects are, and we still act on one of them, we'll naturally find that our willingness level rises. Awareness alone will never be enough to ensure our readiness, but it's the necessary first step on the path to readiness. The inventory process itself has raised our awareness about our character defects. Working the 6th step will do so even more. To be entirely ready is to reach a spiritual state where we are not just aware of our defects, not just tired of them, not just confident that the God of our understanding will remove what should go, but all these things. In order to become entirely ready, we'll need to address our fears about the 6th step. We'll also need to take a look at how our defects will be removed. The 6th step says that only a higher power can remove them. But what does that mean in practical terms? What is our responsibility in the 6th step? These questions, when reviewed with the sponsor, will help give us direction in working this step. Section entitled, Entirely Ready for What? If we're new in NA and this is our first experience with the 6th step, many of our character defects will be so blatant that our immediate reaction will likely be one of overwhelming willingness to get rid of them. We're seeing them for the first time in all their glory, so to speak, and we want them gone, so today. Once we've gotten past our initial reaction, we'll find that we probably have at least some measure of fear or uncertainty about changing. The unknown is terrifying for almost everyone. We've had the defects we're about to let go for a long time, probably most of our lives. We probably have some fears about what our lives will be like without these defects. Some of them may seem more like vital survival skills than defects of character. We wonder if the removal of our defects will inhibit our ability to earn a living. We may find that the idea of being a respectable citizen is repulsive to us. Many of us are strongly attached to an image. We're cool, we're trendy, we're outside the bounds of polite society, and we like it that way. We may be afraid that by working the 6th step, we'll be changed into dull conformists. Some of us may, page 56, some of us may think that we're nothing but defects and wonder what will be left of us if our defects are removed. Our fears are probably vague and unformed. If we pursue them to their logical conclusion, we're sure to find that they are unfounded. In other words, if we say them out loud, we can see them for what they are. Questions. Are there parts of me I like, but which I might be defects? Am I afraid I'll turn into someone I don't like if those parts of my character are removed? What do I think will be removed? If we've had some previous experience with the 6th step, our character defects are nothing new. In fact, we may be feeling dismayed right now that we still have a certain defect, or we may be upset because we're looking at the same older defect in a new manifestation. For instance, we're still insecure. We may no longer run around indulging in a series of transparent attempts to convince others that we're big shots, but we still have the defect. The way we've been acting on it lately is far more subtle and far more insidious. We may have been unconsciously sabotaging the efforts of others so we can look better by comparison, or trampling on someone else's desires because they don't directly serve our own needs. What's especially painful about realizations such as this is in later recovery is that we've tended to think of ourselves in a better light. We're deeply ashamed of harming others. We may feel a dull fear that we're incapable of change, that one character defect or another is here to stay. We can draw some measure of comfort from the fact that we're now aware of what we've been doing and are willing to work on it. We need to maintain a sense of hope and trust that the process of recovery works even on the most firmly entrenched defects. Question. Do I still believe in the process of recovery? Do I believe I can change? How have I changed so far? What defects do I no longer have to act on? Do I have any defects that I think cannot be removed? What are they? Why do I think that they cannot be removed? Next section entitled, To Have God Remove. Yes, the sixth step specifies that only a power greater than ourselves can remove our defects of character. However, the extent to which most of us grasp what that actually means is directly influenced by how much experience we have with the up and down, on again, off again struggle and surrender associated with Step 6. The first thing most of us do about our character defects is decide not to have them. Unfortunately, this is futile, about as effective as attempting to control our using. We may have some apparent success for a time, but our defects will eventually resurface. The problem is that our defects are part of us. We will always be subject to reverting to our worst character defects in stressful situations. Page 57. What we need to do in the sixth step is much like what we had to do in the first two steps. We have to admit that we have been defeated by an internal force that has brought nothing but pain and degradation to our lives. Then we have to admit we need help in dealing with that force. We must completely accept the fact that we cannot remove our own shortcomings, and we must prepare ourselves to ask in the seventh step for God to remove them for us. Questions. How am I trying to remove or control my own character defects? What have my attempts resulted in? What is the difference between being entirely ready to have God remove my defects of character and suppressing them myself? How am I increasing my trust in the God of my understanding by working this step? How does my surrender deepen in this step? What action can I take that shows I am entirely ready?